Well, with us now, a supporter of each of the candidates backing Anas Sarwar is Frank McAveety, the leader of the Labour group on Glasgow City Council. And backing Richard Leonard is the Labour MP for Glasgow North East, Paul Sweeney. And there'll be no shouting with us lot tonight, will there?
That's fine, yeah.
OK. Let's start with the rules governing the debate. There's been some disquiet over the fact that candidates' financial arrangements weren't allowed to be discussed. And we heard Linda Stewart there saying that that's standard procedure for leadership elections. But Frank McAveety, if you've got someone promoting Labour values who has financial interest in a company that appears not to be promoting Labour values, is that not something that members should be able to discuss?
I think it is clear that I'm a veteran in these kind of hustings meetings, and essentially the Labour Party set the rules out before the meeting takes place. So that's standard fare for hustings. In terms of questions, what you want from the hustings is the questions to be consistent for both candidates, and I think what the party was seeking to do was to ensure that that fairness was in place tonight. In terms of the questions that have been raised in the last week or so, I think Anas has attempted and has answered those things. And certainly looking at what I know of the company, this is a company in Glasgow that's been employing over 350 employees, providing good, well-paid work, and actually do pay the present requirements under the law in terms of the living wage. The debate is about how do we get companies to move to the real living wage, and that is through persuasion and encouragement, and I'm sure Anas would be supportive of that too.
OK. Paul Sweeney, Richard Leonard tonight launched a scathing attack on Labour councils which went to court to prevent equal pay claims by women. Was he right to criticise Labour councils?
I think it's a very complex picture that Labour councils have faced in the last few years in the context of severe budget cuts from the Scottish Government. So it's been a really difficult choice for councils to make. What services will they cut to pay, etc. But the fundamental position is that Labour has always supported equalisation of pay. It was what Barbara Castle introduced back in the 1970s.
But was he right to criticise Labour councils?
He was right to criticise that we haven't been forceful enough in making sure this has been settled in a robust way. But the context is Labour councils have had a really horrible choice to make about what services to cut, vital frontline services or settling long-standing pay disputes. So it's been wrapped up in the courts because it's even a question of finding out which workers were entitled to what settlements. It's been quite a complex picture. But yes, where councils have been dragging their heels and potentially pursuing appeals, which we've just seen Glasgow City Council announce in the last week, even under an SNP administration, which has been officially against it, is quite problematic. You can see the difficulties there.
Frank, what did you make of Richard Leonard attacking the Labour councils over this? You've led a Labour council.
Well, I mean, I think the challenge facing the council is how to address historic anomalies in terms of equal pay. Obviously, as Paul said, that Labour introduced the Equal Pay Act, and we endeavour to make sure that is the case in councils and other public bodies. I mean, the reality and the facts of the case, in Glasgow's case, is that we brought in a pay and benefits review in 2007, which was to attempt to address historic problems with equal pay, of which £80 million has been paid out. And we've added to the pay bill in subsequent years about £60 million a year. There are issues that still needed to be tested in court about the validity of the scheme, and that is still to be deliberated upon.
OK, let's get into the policies of the two candidates. Are there any significant policy differences between the two, or is it going to boil down to a personality contest, Paul?
Well, ultimately, I think we're driving towards a consensus in Scottish politics, particularly in the Labour Party, because we saw tonight a convergence around agreement on things like what Richard Leonard's led for the last year, along with me participating in that, which was the industrial strategy. I'm one of the few elected members in the Labour Party that came from a manufacturing industrial background, and I've worked with Richard Leonard for the last year in developing Scottish Labour's industrial strategy. And having worked with him on that, I've been so impressed with his credibility and his actual understanding of the real analysis of what faces the Scottish economy, how we need to improve the Scottish economy.
Why are you supporting Richard Leonard then, rather than us?
Well, I'm supporting Richard Leonard because he's led the initiative on that agenda, and we've seen tonight a broad consensus that that's where we need to go. So I'm quite impressed that Anas has accepted that that's something we need to be doing. So I mean, what I'm seeing tonight is a great convergence of opinion in Scottish Labour. So I feel we're in good hands regardless who becomes leader.
Frank McAveety, why are you backing Anas then rather than Richard Leonard?
Well, I think both candidates demonstrated tonight that they have a lot in common. They are in favour of looking at ways in which we can inject resources into local government. They are passionate about defending public services. So that's a good thing. And I think there's a hunger out there in the electorate to ensure that Labour represents that. I think what Anas brings is a level of experience, but he's been an MP, he's been an MSP, he's led from the front on prosecuting a case against the woeful handling of health by the SNP. And I think he's got that capacity to pull that together. And certainly from a personal point of view, from Glasgow's point of view, as someone who worked closely with Anas in terms of our local government campaigns, in 2012, 2017. He brings a level of experience because we're talking about someone who's going to possibly be the next First Minister in Scotland. And I think he edges that because of that experience.
Does he edge it because of his experience then?
I don't accept that at all. I think Richard Lennon brings exceptional experience from his trade union background, and what he said tonight was the only coalition he wants to see in Scottish politics, progressive coalition he wants to see between the Labour Party and the trade union movement, and that's vital if the Labour Party is going to succeed in Scotland. It has to rediscover its trade union roots. And I think that's where Richard Lennon brings great policy analysis with his background as an economist with the Scottish Trade Unions Congress and also with the GMB, and that's exactly why his industrial strategy has set the head on fire in terms of the Scottish Labour Party. Everybody's kind of coalescing around that. His agenda on capping rent controls, about addressing the anti-austerity policies we really need in this country, in lockstep with the UK Labour leadership as well.
OK, Frank, within a minute of standing up, Anas Sarwar talked about Jeremy Corbyn as our next Prime Minister. Is he making up for lost time here? Because he has been a critic in the past, hasn't he?
Well, I mean, everybody has had different views about Jeremy. I mean, Paul himself also wrote and supported the letter at the time. But things have moved on. I mean, Jeremy was tested in the general election campaign. The core message that Labour put across in June was getting resonation right across Scotland. Our job is to put in place a team led by Anas, including people like Richard.
But is that not going to dog him, though, the fact that he was such an opponent, and he'd called for him to back down, and now he's his #1 fan?
No, I don't think anybody's... I mean, recognising that there's always going to be differences of views amongst Labour members about how best we could be led. But the real test of that is that Jeremy has now won 2 internal Labour elections and ran a very, very good campaign. So he deserves to be given that support to build a chance to get a UK Labour government. But we also have a chance to remove a failing SNP government. And I think Anas is best placed to lead that charge on behalf of the Labour Party in Scotland. OK,
fairly briefly, Paul, in terms of the support for Jeremy Corbyn, does that stand Richard Lennon in better stead, do you think?
I think so. I think the mood in the Scottish Labour Party shifted. There was frustration during the Scottish election campaign. We weren't more forceful about our message of hope and our ambition for the future of our country. And instead we focused on a sort of trying to capture a sort of unionist message. And I think actually, whilst it's important we're firm on our position on the Constitution, we need to focus more on the debate in Scotland where it needs to be about the social justice issues.
Excellent.